are two great compliments in the world of education for me. Number one, where did you get your shoes? Number two, what read aloud would you do with your kiddos during this time of year? I love giving book suggestions, so today I'm here to give a few great read aloud book suggestions to you. In case we haven't met yet, hi, my name is Caroline. I am a third grade teacher and I try my best to be not so wimpy every single day in my classroom. One of my favorite things to do with my third graders is to share a read aloud. It's one of my favorite times of my day for a few different reasons. First and foremost, reading aloud with your students is helping to build that relationship with them. It's a calm, quiet, enjoyable time in our day, and I like to use read aloud time as an opportunity to reset with some of my students. I've done read alouds at all different times of my day, and these are some that have worked for me in the past. First thing in the morning is a great time to read aloud to your kiddos. They're just coming in, most of them probably aren't awake yet, and I'm sure your coffee hasn't kicked in yet. Think about incorporating a read aloud into your morning meeting as you start your day each day. My second favorite time of day to do a read aloud is when we are coming back in from lunch or recess, depending on when these fall during your day. This year I have lunch and then recess back to back, and I love to use a read aloud as our opportunity to calm down and cool down after that recess. Taking that few minutes when we come in to sit and share part of a story with my students means the rest of my afternoon is going to go really smoothly. My third favorite time of day to do a read aloud with my students is after they've packed up. A lot of times I'll use it as a motivator. If you pack up really quickly and quietly, then we can read a few more pages from the book we're enjoying together right now. Those are 3 times that have worked really well for me, and I love being able to share great stories with my readers, no matter when we're sharing during the day. After I get asked for book recommendations, it's often followed up with, well, how do you pick a good book anyway? There's a few things I look for when I'm deciding on a great chapter book read aloud to share with my students. The first of these is level of rigor. Personally, I love to share a chapter book with my students that might be just a tad too challenging for them to read independently. This really changes from beginning of the year to end of the year because my readers really change from beginning of the year to end of the year. And you're always going to have some students who could read the book independently very successfully. But at the beginning of the school year, I love to choose a book that I can help all of my readers access and enjoy the story by reading it aloud to them. I also want to pick a story that's really going to be high engagement for my students. I want it to be something they're interested in and excited about, but also something that they do already have a standing connection to. I like to save the stories that my students might not have as strong of a connection to for later in the year. Oftentimes, I'll pick books with historical settings after we have done work with it in science or social studies because my students will then have the background knowledge to access the story and really enjoy what we're reading together. Finally, a read aloud choice is really important in that you are able to put it in your classroom library when you're done reading it, and students will be able to check it out and enjoy the story again. I think when you read aloud to a student, it helps them really see, oh, this is a book, I could read this book, I know these characters, I'm comfortable with these characters. So pick a book that you'll then be comfortable putting back into your classroom library because I promise all of your readers are going to want to check it out and read it again. Don't worry, you know I can't come on here and talk about read alouds with students without sharing some of my absolute favorites. So without further ado, welcome to the Not So Wimpy Teacher Favorite Chapter Book Read Alouds. Book number 1 is The World According to Humphrey. I tell you, this little hamster gets me every single time. He is so cute, he has so much personality, and I think this is the perfect read aloud at the beginning of a school year, specifically in a 3rd grade classroom. It takes place in a school and it's following a class hamster. I also love this book because it's part of a series. After I read this one, my students then want to read every other book in the series. Again, making it very motivational for all of my readers, even readers for whom this might be a little challenging for them to read on their own. Such a fun story, and students are sure to love it. Suggestion number 2 is The Lemonade War. Everybody loves a little bit of competition, and this book includes all of that and more. I also love sharing this with readers because there are so many fun connections and extensions you can do with it as a wrap-up activity when you finished reading. Maybe students are going to plan their own lemonade stands, or maybe you're going to bring in that sweet and sour treat for them to enjoy while you read the last chapter. The Lemonade War is always a huge hit in my classroom, and I have 4 or 5 copies in my classroom library for that reason. If you're looking for a chapter book read aloud that is an absolutely amazing story, I can suggest nothing other than the one and only Ivan. Oh, this is such a beautiful book. It does make me cry every single year. Doesn't get any easier, but it is a beautiful story of friendship and longing and finding home at last. There is a great movie on Disney Plus as well, but the one and only Ivan is a beautiful book to share with your students. My next suggestion of read aloud is one that I actually had a conversation with a coworker about maybe a week ago, The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. This is a beautiful book with so many great messages and themes that'll really spark strong conversations with your readers. The story follows the miraculous journey of a China rabbit as he's traveling once he gets lost from his home. Beautiful story, another one that might make you cry and will have your students wanting to check it out from your library when you're done. My next suggestion is one that the boys in my classroom all collectively lose their minds for every single year. The Wild Robot is an amazing read aloud that leads to some pretty exciting games on the playground while we are enjoying this in the classroom. The Wild Robot follows the story of Roz, who wakes up and finds herself stranded on an island, and the question is, can nature and technology work together to survive? This is such a cool story, and I know all of your readers are going to love it. My final suggestion is for the theatrical teacher in you. I love to read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory to my students. Surprisingly enough, it's a story not many of them have heard before, and I love to share it because there are so many opportunities to really practice your theatrics. I end up giving every character a different voice, and it has my kids absolutely cackling every single time I open this book up. Again, amazing themes and great conversations, and then it opens up the world of Roald Dahl to all of your readers. I don't know about you, but I am ready to read. Tell me down in the comments, what are your favorite read alouds to share with your students? Let's build a book list together. One of my favorite things here at Not So Wimpy Teacher is the community we create together. If you're looking for other suggestions specific to 3rd grade, you have to check out my favorite blog post. This is one that I send to all new teachers, anyone who's thinking about 3rd grade, or when people say I teach 3rd grade, help! This is the first place I send them, and I'm gonna have it linked down in the description box for you as well. So go pick out your read aloud, go get settled in to enjoy it on your own before sharing with your students, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our content. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and have a not so wimpy day. Bye!